Holy Sch-niiiikes! It's been 30 years since Tommy Boy hit theaters and became an instant cult classic. This week, we're honoring the late, great Chris Farley with one of the most quotable and lovable buddy comedies of the 90s. So join us as we celebrate friendship, brake pads, and big guy in the little coat. Welcome to the No More Late Fees podcast. I'm Jackie.
And I'm Danielle, and we're two best friends and ex-Blockbuster employees rewatching some of the best and worst movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. And this week, we're going back to 1995 to revisit Tommy Boy, a road trip comedy with a whole lot of heart and physical comedy. But before we dive in, let's get into why we do this every week. Now it's coming, the thread is coming together into some
Housekeeping?
housekeeping. If you love the podcast and you want to support us, here's a few ways you can.
So if you love us, help us out by leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Your reviews really help us grow and keep the nostalgia alive.
And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. We've got plenty of deep dives and your favorite 90s and Y2K movies coming up.
And if you want to show off your love for nostalgia, check out our No More Late Fees merch at nomorelatefees.redbubble.com. From movie-inspired designs to podcast swag, we've got something for everyone. I couldn't think of anyone better to join us than returning guest and friend of the pod, Marley.
Marley.
Hey.
Thanks for having me. Woo! Holy Sch-niiiikes, I'm back.
If you want to get to know Marley better, check out our episodes of The Fast and the Furious, Shaun of the Dead, and his bonus episodes. Plus, you can check out this week's episode as we rank the top grossing SNL movies of the 90s.
So Tommy Boy follows Tommy Callahan, a lovable screw-up who goes on a cross-country sales trip with the uptight Richard to save his late father's auto parts business. Along the way, chaos, laughs, and heart ensue in true Farley fashion. The movie stars Chris Farley, David Spade, Bo Derek, Rob Lowe, Julie Warner, and Brian Dennehy. It was directed by Peter Siegel. It was written by Bonnie Turner and Terry Turner, and you can currently watch it on Tubi and Pluto. But before we start, let's get into our ratings rewind.
So, you know the drill. Before we get into the movie, we'll reveal the rating our Y2K versions of ourselves would give. Then at the end, we'll see if our current selves agree with our initial rating. Our scale consists of would buy it again.
The best would play on repeat.
5-day rental.
Would watch again.
2-day rental.
It's okay, but nothing to write home about.
And same-day rental.
I'm a maniac, and this movie's trash.
Okay.
Well done.
Thank
well
you.
done.
All right, Marley, we'll start with you. What is your rating?
I kind of have a story with this one because
Okay.
I never actually saw this movie in the theaters because I was a little bit too young when this movie came out. I was like 5 years old at the time. So I saw this movie for the first time in 8th grade. My 8th grade teacher wheeled out like the TV with the cart with the TV
They
on
showed
it.
this at school?
See, I knew you were gonna have that reaction,
What?
Danielle, because we actually had to sign a permission slip about like they sent it home and we're like, hey, it's been we don't really have a lot going on right now, so we're gonna watch this PG-13 movie, and we're all so excited. And then my teacher that I knew for like a really long time, just because it was a small town, and like we went to church together, and he was like, "Oh, we're gonna watch Tommy Boy today."
No, there's too many educational videos out there for this to like we had to watch what was that one, the Nemo thing where like Ben Affleck and
You
Oh,
have brought that up before, and I don't remember what the name of it is.
we had to watch that. We watched Degrassi. There's so many other things
When were
before you get to
watching
Tommy
Degrassi
Boy.
in
6th grade.
I had a teacher that every time she was out, it was my TV productions teacher, but she would make us watch Up Close and Personal, which is so sad at the end.
It is.
But every
It's-
time.
It's almost like you should do like a mini series on your Patreon where you watch all
Ooh.
those old movies. Maybe that's some content coming to your Patreon. It's like if you have time for it. But yeah, I remember watching it like sitting at my desk, and I was just like completely amazed by it, but also laughing. So I think like my current rating, since I didn't really know that this movie existed, I didn't wasn't familiar with SNL all that much. I'm gonna go with the two day rental. I don't
When
think it
you
was trash, but I also like I didn't know it existed. So 2 day rental. So
okay. And Jackie, what was your Y2K rating?
I think Johnny was too young to watch it because I never remember watching it with him, but Heather and I can quote this whole movie. It was full on heavy rotation at our house. Would buy again.
Me, I know I saw it. 2-day rental. I
Fair.
saw it.
They can't
That's
all
it.
be winners.
But you know what? Like I realized with the exception of Billy Madison, I really wasn't into the movies of like the SNL movies or the frat bro thing. Like it just never made me laugh. So
I
because
am really sad that Coneheads is outside our time frame because
I
I feel
do
like
like that one.
it's
I've
so slept on.
I've
Yeah.
never seen it. It's always haunted me at Blockbuster when I would go in there, and I would just see like just people with cone heads, and I'm like, what is that? Is that a comedy or some M. Night Shyamalan type movie or whatever? It's just like, yeah.
All right, let's get into box office.
Okay.
So this movie had a budget of $20 million and it made $32.7 million. It opened in its opening weekend, it opened with $8 million, finishing first at the box office. It's actually one of Paramount's top 10 best-selling videos of all time. It joins the ranks of Indiana Jones, all of the movies, Beverly Hills Cop, Top Gun, Wayne's World, and Forrest Gump. The film made nearly 100 million in home video sales. That's a lot of money.
Yeah. Do we know like adjusted for inflation? Like,
I don't, but we can look it up. But yeah, because when I saw how much it made in the box office, I was like, this doesn't seem right. Because I know so many people quote it. And so
hmm
it's one of those movies that definitely got cooking
hmm
from VHS and stuff.
and
I feel like it was in that sweet spot of like movie rental stores just getting big and VHS being accessible to purchase because
Yeah.
I feel like this is along the same vein. Well, Billy Madison was shooting at the same time as this movie, but it was like that like juvenile humor that hit a lot of the youth, and then
Yeah.
it's like, what do you mean I can own this and watch it over and over and over again and memorize the whole movie? Like,
Right.
sign
mhm.
me up.
Well, let's see what Little Raj had to say. Little Raj of the Chicago Sun-Times, aka Roger Ebert. He only gave the film 1 star out of 4, writing that Tommy Boy is one of those movies that plays like an explosion down at the screenplay factory. You can almost picture a bewildered office boy, his face smudged with soot, wandering through the ruins and rescuing pages at random. Too bad they didn't make them to the insurance company instead of filming them. The film is on Ebert's most hated list. He had very strong
Oh,
feelings about this one.
I have
damn.
thoughts.
Okay.
He was old when this movie came out. He's not gonna get it. Is that fair to say?
Jackie hating on old people.
I mean, for him to say, look, I've seen more erratic movies. I feel like this definitely had a plot and it followed through.
Yes.
Mhm.
I don't think there was any kind of like storyline that was departed from. Like everything went through. So him saying that it looked like somebody just picked up pages doesn't seem right
No,
to me.
Well,
because we've done movies where it
All
seems
right.
like people have just picked up pages.
What were
to
you gonna say, Marley?
in Lil Raj's defense a little bit, like I don't agree with him saying that it feels like an explosion at the screenplay factory, but on the behind the scenes featurette on Tommy Boy, they talked about how they were planning on shooting this during the summer, just so like when SNL starts in the fall, they won't have to conflict. But they ended up delaying production and ended up shooting this movie at the same time as SNL. So we'd have David Spade and Chris Farley flying back and forth between Canada and New York City. So and they're just kind of like shooting ideas back and forth while also doing SNL and prepping for SNL. So I can see a little bit why some people can see how this movie's a little bit chaotic for them, just because they're just throwing stuff at the wall to see what sticks. But I will agree with both of you that I've seen scripts that are really messy, and this film doesn't show it.
No.
There is like a plot here, and there's sentiment at times too. But
Yeah.
but yeah, just wanted to mention that little thing. So
Well, before we get into cast and crew, let's hear a message from our pod pals.
If you like small town mystery, crazy news, and wild history, then the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast is for you. Each week, Josh Mills and Wayne McCarty bring you the absolute best Florida has to offer. So if you're looking for a show that's safe for the family, but funny enough to help you escape everyday life, then listen to the Florida Men on Florida Man podcast.
Okay.
Okay, so cast and crew. So there are a couple of conflicting rumors swirling as to why Rob Lowe was uncredited in the film Tommy Boy. The first one was he was contractually obligated to another movie at the time, Stephen King's The Stand. The reason he filmed Tommy Boy was due to his friendship with Chris Farley. And then the other was he wanted to be a happy surprise after the script shifted focus. Originally, the film was to be centered around the relationship between Tommy and Paul. Who's Paul?
it's his brother.
It's
Oh,
Rob Lowe.
It's Rob Lowe.
got it.
So
Got it. Rob was playing tennis with Lorne Michaels, and Lorne told him that he was about to start Tommy Boy and that he was considering him to play Chris Farley's brother. He ended up taking the part as a favor to Lorne since he was previously in Wayne's World.
So we don't know if he was friends with Chris or friends with Lorne, but he's in it. So that's all we know.
I think the thing that we should take away from that is that Lorne Michaels kind of like if Lorne Michaels says put this person in a movie, then you kind of do it.
Yeah.
And you have to make it work.
Yeah. And well, what was I gonna say? Well, watching on the rewatch, I honestly forgot that Rob Lowe was in this, and when he popped up, I was like, "Dang!" One, he's so young, and two, it's just like he's a little bit understated in this film, like because I know him so much from like Parks and Rec, and him kind of like being kind of like the main person on that show, and to have him kind of like be the understudy to like David Spade and Chris Farley, it's a little weird to me. So.
Yeah, that is true. He is very understated in this movie, but very handsome. Very handsome. At one point during the production, because of the scheduling conflicts, again, Rob Lowe almost had to drop out of the film. This resulted in the filmmakers holding impromptu auditions in Toronto while the movie was already filming for the part of Paul. Matthew McConaughey was one of the actors who auditioned. It was decided that he wasn't the right fit for the role, and Paramount actually preferred Rob to play the part because he had previously done Wayne's World with them. Eventually, Lowe's scheduling conflicts were resolved and he was able to appear. So I don't know. It would have been so weird to have Matthew McConaughey in this movie.
The
I don't
vibe
think that
is
was a good
just
fit.
different. I think because we just did Heartbreakers too, like the role fit, it's just con man to con man.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, of course. Like this is his younger days before he meets Sigourney Weaver. So the role of Helen the waitress was originally to be played by Roseanne Barr, but she was busy at the time and unable to appear in the film. Thank goodness.
Took the words right out of my mouth. And Dan Aykroyd filmed all of his scenes in just 2 days. His hair, I don't know what's going on with his hair in this movie.
So much hairspray, so much hair gel.
All right, Jackie, let's get into Tommy Boy.
Let's do it.
Also, like Zelensky, like President Zelensky, not trying to get political. It's like that's one thing that I was like, oh yeah.
So the movie opens and we are introduced to Tommy as a young child, and he is just accident prone, dropping his snacks out of his lunchbox, leaving his history book behind, missing the bus, hitting his head. We get a Sch-niiiikes right off the bat with this character. And then as he's running to school after missing the bus, we are also introduced to baby Richard, who is just giving him shit the whole time riding his bike. Like, you're a moron, you're a menace, blah, blah, blah.
Wait again, Tommy.
And then the movie transitions to adult Tommy, who is taking his last exam in college. We get the Herbie Hancock right off the bat. And he is very excited because he passed with a D. So
D+.
he gets to graduate college.
D plus. I'm very like, I was like, oh, there's no way this man is a freaking college student. I was saying that to my head. And so when he gets back, when he goes home and Richard picks him up and he's like, I graduated from college. And he's like, yeah, it only took you 7 years. So I was like, oh, okay. This bitch old. For real.
I love how Richard also said, like, Tommy's like, yeah, a lot of people take 7 years. And Richard's like, yeah, they're called doctors. He's just like, you're an idiot. But also, so we are surmising that Van Wilder and Tommy are about the same age, because Van has also been in college for 7 years.
But that movie, what year did that movie come out?
I'm just saying, like, they're portraying the same age.
Yeah, no, not at all. Also, he doesn't have luggage. He has a garbage bag. And why didn't his daddy go to his graduation? That seems like not in character.
Maybe he didn't go to his graduation. There's plenty of people that don't go to their graduation.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I wasn't going to, and then my mom forced me. So.
I also love when he's getting off the plane and Richard's picking him up and he's like, oh, I tried to call, and he's like rattling off this number, and Richard's like, and did I hear a niner in there? Were you calling from a walkie-talkie?
Walkie-talkie?
So many quotable moments.
So good. So good.
So Tommy's back in Sandusky. His dad has prepared an office for him. He's going to be working at the factory. He gets a factory tour with a bunch of, I'm assuming they're like shareholders.
It just seems like the top executives.
Yeah.
Yeah, they are board. They're probably board members. They probably have stock. I don't know. It seems like for some reason it was only Tommy that had stock. I don't know how their stocks work. But one thing I do love is that how we know Tommy's kind of a moron, but his dad just like does not, whenever you see those movies where somebody's a fuck up, even in Billy Madison, he's a fuck up, but like his dad is not mad at him. He's just so loving, and
they accept them for who they are.
Right.
Oh, Tommy boy.
Yeah. And I love that the people who work there love him as well, you know. Mm-hmm. So, except for Richard.
Except for Richard. But to put yourself in Richard's shoes a little bit, like you're like, he's like the accountant, kind of like the numbers guy, and to have like the president's son to just graduate from college, like barely graduate from college, and just immediately get an office that's bigger than yours. It's kind of like, what am I doing here? How long has I want to know how long has Richard been at Callahan, like at Callahan for?
Probably since he's got out of college. He does say that like Tommy's dad was like, his dad would always treat him well because he didn't have a dad growing up. So I'm guessing and it seems like everybody who was in that town probably works some connection to that factory. So
definitely. So Big Tom also has another surprise for Tommy. He is engaged to be married to Beverly, played by Bo Derek. And I read a fact that Bo Derek's husband, like the day before shooting, decided he didn't want anyone to be attracted to her and made her cut all of her hair off.
Yeah, everybody on set was really surprised because they're expecting to see like Bo Derek or the 10. I don't know why everybody was tripping. They could have put a wig on her, first and
Yeah.
foremost. And secondly, her body was still banging. Even with that weird haircut, she still looked pretty damn good. Apparently, he was very jealous and possessive or whatever. So he dead now. So, and I think she's married to John Covert from Aiden from Sex and the City.
What?
Yeah, girl, she getting it. Mm-hmm. That other husband dead. She got a new boo. She good to go.
Moving on. She's moving on.
Yeah, they started dating in 2002.
Interesting. And they're still together?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yep. Her
Lord.
first husband passed away from heart failure in 1998.
Broken heart.
And so she said in 2020 she didn't expect to end up with anyone again. And she said John makes her laugh all the time. He's full of life. Get it, girl. I am not mad at it.
Yeah.
I don't know what the age difference is between them, but yeah, they still together.
So we're also introduced to Paul, who is Beverly's son, in finger quotes. And we get the quote here: "Brothers don't shake hands. Brothers gotta hug."
I promise I won't talk over it, but it's so hard not to.
We can always quote together because I was sitting there quoting the movie as we were watching it, and Ken's like, "How the fuck do you know all this?" And like,
if you remember the man, if you remember that man who was hounding Christopher Lloyd in Camp Nowhere, I trust you remember everything. That's
PR Polk.
Yeah.
So now we are at the wedding. Tommy and Big Tom are doing a
musical number. They sing together.
They're just singing, and the crowd's hype. And then Big Tom has a medical emergency. He has a heart attack, and he died.
That bitch died. That wasn't it was he dropped dead, Fred. Literally.
One thing I'd like to add about this whole wedding thing, like Richard is filming, like I guess for their memories or whatever, but when he approaches like one of the shareholders or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, congratulations, Big Tom," and I would like a piece of that. And he was like, "Oh wait,
don't record that."
He was like, "It'll cost you. It'll cost you." It's I don't know. I just like all that stuff with Richard kind of like filming people. It's funny. So
yeah, his dad dies really quick, so you see him drop dead, and then you see the casket, and that's it. I don't know why my brain I thought he was just hospitalized, and I was like, oh damn, he really died. And I thought she poisoned him, but she didn't.
No, because they have a conversation. We later find out that Paul is her husband, and they're running the scheme because they talk about how they were gonna have to figure out like how to get him to divorce her or whatever, and it was a lucky coincidence that he died after they were married, so they didn't even have to worry about that part of the plan.
And Tommy, it doesn't seem suspicious or anything of them. He really thinks that this is his new mother, this is his brother. Like, he's so open to it. It would have been cool for Richard to be suspicious, I think. But no. That's not what happens.
No.
Well, I just think that Richard was probably just happy for his boss to like that, because it's been years since he was married, so it's like now he's finally happy again. So he just likes seeing his boss happy, I guess. So,
yeah.
And just a side note, during this time, David Spade had a comedy special out, and it reminded me, Marley, he had a bit how everyone recorded everything, and he like the quote he uses is "for posterity," and like my sister and I say that all the time, it's like "for posterity." So that was funny because it was his character recording everything.
Right.
So now the company is in quite a bit of trouble without Big Tom. They're having deals canceled, sales are down. And so in order to save the company and not have to sell it, Tommy and Richard have to go on the road and find new accounts and sell 500,000 brake pads, 500,000 brake pads.
Right, because the dad had spent he invested a good amount of the money that they had into making this whole part of the factory that does the brake pads. And so they're like begging the bank. And it just gets to a point where they're like, well, the bank won't give us this loan. So Tommy says, I'll put my house, I'll put my stocks up, whatever. And that's how they agreed to let him and Richard, they have to bring Richard because he doesn't know as much about brakes. So they hit the road in Richard's car, which I found out, Jackie, for you. And it is a convertible 1967 Plymouth GTX with a 440 engine and Krager SS wheels. Don't know what any of that means. It was a blue car, y'all, and the top rolled back.
That
for
poor
the
car.
Well,
Why did they rent a car for the business? Like, I don't know why
think it was a little of Richard showboating, like, I'm better than you, Tommy, even though you have all this money, like, I have this sweet vintage car and we're gonna take it.
And he was showboating like when he picked up Tommy at the airport too, and then Tommy was like eating the M&Ms and they rolled into the dash. He was like,
I would kill him.
That's really gonna up the resale value. Melted chocolate in the dash.
I was driving home. We recently drove home from Florida to Texas, and I had bought Reese's Pieces, and I was driving, so I was like trying to pour them in my hand while I was driving, and I dropped one, and this scene immediately went into my noggin because Ken's had whipped around because he heard it ping, and he's like, "Where'd that go?" I was like, "Couldn't tell you. I guess we'll find out later."
I hope the kitty cats don't try to eat it.
No, it was on the floorboard, so I found it later. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it fell on the floor and I just can't reach it right now. It did not go Tommy Boy style into the dash.
Yeah.
So now we get the road trip from hell. They're both just Richard's very disgruntled that he has to do this and he's only doing it to save the company. And he's quizzing Tommy on the parts and stuff. And we get a montage of them trying to sell stuff, and it's just like, no. Then when you get this guy was like, maybe. And so then Tommy starts talking, and Tommy doesn't stop talking until he has lit stuff on fire on this man's desk.
And you know what's crazy is that the man sits there and watches him because clearly those are like probably expensive model cars.
Yeah.
So the moment he picked it up, he should have told him. But he's literally watching this man fuck up his shit.
Yeah.
And he's so calm about it. He's like, leave, get out.
He's like, all because you want to save a couple extra pennies. Want to buy some brake pads for me?
And we learned that Tommy is not great at selling because he's super nervous. And we learned that Richard sucks at selling because he can't dumb it down for people, even though he's talking to people that are in the car industry. But he's saying terms and stuff they're like, we don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So it is not going well.
Yeah, and he's just very dry on his delivery. There's no personality. There's no chutzpah to get me to want to buy from you, Richard.
Right.
And one of my favorite lines. I promise I won't stop. But before the montage of Tommy and Richard selling, Jackie, you mentioned he's coaching him on what to do, and he's like, we do you remember what I told you? We don't take no shit from everyone. He was like, we don't take no prisoners. He's like, no, Tommy, we don't take no for an answer.
And then you just see the montage of him getting no, and he's like, okay, all right, okay, thanks, bye. And you see them going to a whole bunch of different hotels. I've never seen in my whole life that many moths come in any place. And I've also never seen a vacuum in a hotel or a motel.
Yeah.
I was hoping you would mention that because on this rewatch, I was like, what like, is this hotel have no maids or something like that?
Right.
Clean up after
Why?
yourself, please.
Yeah.
And
Is it an
My mom would
Airbnb?
would love that because she'd be cleaning anyways.
thank you.
One thing that we missed was that, what's her name? There's a character named Michelle that
Oh,
works
yes.
in the shipping. She handles like all the shipping orders. So we meet her and she seems really nice and sweet. And
And she and Tommy have known each other since they were kids too.
did they?
Yeah, because he asked like, "Where's your brother?" He was in the same class as her brother, and she's like,
Oh,
"Oh, he's a
yeah.
cop now."
Gotcha.
They used to
Oh,
steal donuts from the Safeway, and he's like, "What's he doing now?" Oh, he's a cop, and I'm like,
well, the funny thing is that Chris Farley was really nervous with her, the actress, to the point that like it was making it hard for him to do his scenes.
Oh.
So she locked him in her trailer for like 3 hours, just having regular conversations so that he would feel comfortable
"Oh, that's
doing their
nice."
lines. So it took them a while, but they got there, which I thought was sweet.
Yeah,
Oh,
definitely.
the one thing about Michelle's character that I always found confusing is like she had like she's talking about her system because she's in charge of like receiving it, I'm guessing, and making sure everything goes out on time. And she says that she doesn't like file cabinets because you have to open them. And I'm like, how is that more efficient?
Pen
Like, just
piles.
like inside, so her office is just a bunch of like folders just stacked up. And I'm like, I'm
It's
confused.
no, I have an answer for this.
Okay.
She has ADHD and she has object permanence. So if they go in something, they no longer exist to her. So she has
Yeah.
to see them in order for them to exist and her to remember where they are.
Mm. She could have done like crates or something,
Yeah.
because why even
Hmm.
have them in the room to make it take up space? Because
Yeah.
literally you're just pile. It's that did bother me, but
Yeah.
she's really good at her job, and we see her doing her thing, but we learn that Paul is trying to sabotage the company because eventually Tommy gets his selling together because they go to a diner and Richard watches Tommy convince this very miserable waitress into getting some wings because she says that they don't apparently they don't have cold items at this time of the day and they're not
Which
going to
I've
turn off this. Like, I've never heard of this at
never
Tommy
heard
all.
of it
Want
either.
Wingy. There
Right.
is a food truck here in Austin called Tommy Want Wingy, and it's just a big portrait of Chris Farley's face on the side of the truck.
Oh my gosh.
Someone's
Oh,
making a trip to Austin.
yes.
So,
I don't eat wings, so, but Johnny says they're really good. So, another scene that we missed is the scene behind me where Tommy is trying to bond with Paul. And so they attempt to go cow tipping. Tommy falls in the mud, and then they go to a gas station. I've never seen a gas station where you just have water next to the pumps. I found that to be a little odd. But we
yeah.
get the infamous I'm a maniac scene where Paul is just straight up shooting Tommy with freezing ass water. It was below 20 degrees when they shot this.
Hmm.
And Chris Farley had to wear a wetsuit under his clothes to keep from freezing during the scene.
The scene was Rob Lowe's idea. He pitched it, so they made it happen about the cow tipping.
It it's funny because like when I first watched this scene, I thought for the longest time it wasn't water. I thought it was gasoline, and, and which made it even funnier. But now it's like, oh, it's just water. So it's
Yeah.
still fun. It's still a funny scene, but I'm just like, it would have been funny if it was just gasoline. I'm
But
like,
we
why are
do
you?
get a gasoline fight in Zoolander, another SNL alum movie.
Yeah,
So
with
eventually you
Jackie's
get your
favorite.
gasoline.
Yeah.
So along the way, they have to stop for gas, obviously. Richard asks Tommy to top off the oil as well. I guess it has an oil consumption issue. And Richard goes inside to pay and get snacks. And Tommy realizes the nozzle won't reach the gas tank. And so he moves the car, but he has the door open, and so it gets bent backwards. And So he doesn't even pump gas at that point. He just like puts the door back and gets in the driver or in the passenger seat, and he's just like waiting for Richard. So Richard goes to get in the car, and the door falls off, and then we get the "What'd you do?" which still say to this day. And then Tommy is just like, "Oh, they were out of gas. They only had diesel. We have to go to another gas station." Like he just wants to GTFO out of there. So then as they're driving along, they hit a deer, and they're both
The deer
standing.
this
and they're
deer.
yes, that deer.
Yeah.
Why the hell do they put this deer in the car?
They felt bad leaving it on the side of the road, I think.
They could have pushed it like it
Well-
just does not make sense to put a carcass of a dead deer in your car. And you know how heavy that thing is? Richard
That's
can't
good
carry
eating,
that weight.
Danielle.
Ew.
they felt bad because the scene before this is when Tommy is trying to figure out where they are on the map, and Richard dissed him. He was like, "Oh, where's Moron? Moron's here." Points at Tommy. And he was just like, "Look, Magellan, the wrinkle is right here." And then that's when they hit the deer, which is
So they put that deer in the car,
Mhm.
and that deer's not fucking dead.
He wakes up.
Fucks up their shit even more. I'm like, they were just thinking of scenarios. How much more can we fuck up this car?
Yeah. And according to our fun facts, it took the film crew 5 weeks to get the shot of the deer standing on the car. They gave the car to a trainer who fed a deer and let it eat and poop in and around the car for a month so that the deer could get used to it before they could bring in cameras and get the shot that they needed.
Amazing.
and apparently like when the deer was destroying the car too, it was like just a dude with a deer mask on, or it was like and they were like punching through it, so that's why it's like this all the shots are like super close, so you're just seeing like the deer's head, but it's real funny.
What are your credits include? I was the deer head in Tommy Boy. So we're continuing on. They're selling, they're doing well. Like Danielle said, they have to stop at hotels and motels, obviously. And so some of the most infamous scenes in Tommy Boy, one is Tommy goes to get pizza and David is looking out the window and sees this like beautiful lady getting ready to like skinny dip in the pool.
Who does that at the hotel pool? The
No
motel
one.
pool.
If people listen to, or well, like I said earlier in the podcast, this is like I watched this movie in school. This scene right here is the scene where my teacher was just like, "I'm just gonna fast forward this part."
And this actress, her name is Lori Bagley. And apparently she is a really good friend of David Spade, and he introduced her to Chris Farley, who ended up secretly dating her, and David Spade found out by accident, and when he did, he was really upset. As our fun fact said, salty. He was very salty as he was interested in her too. Not to mention he found out again about their relationship on accident. So, yeah, this is just one of many of the fights that these two have.
Fighting over women.
They fight over Rob Lowe as well.
They do. That's my favorite. So let me see. Because Rob Lowe has told this story recently about the hot tub. Now I can't find it.
Oh my god.
The one that I was talking about is that Chris Farley wasn't feeling well and told everyone he was sick, so he went back to his room. So David Spade went to a bar with Rob Lowe. And when Chris found out the next day, he would relentlessly taunt David Spade about, "Oh, how's Rob doing?" So he was jealous over David hanging out with Rob.
So see, Rob Lowe tells it, whereas the opposite. David Spade was off doing something, so him and Chris Farley hung out in a hot tub for an entire evening. And David Spade got jealous because he's like, "I wasn't doing anything. Why didn't you call me and invite me to like hang out?" And so he was the one that was like, "Oh, hanging out with Rob Lowe in the hot tub." And David Spade was the one who was salty. according to
maybe
Rob
those are,
Lowe.
but those are two separate incidents. I promise you, those probably both happened.
Man, Hollywood's weird.
No, those two dudes are weird.
And
Yeah.
then Rob said that there was also another incident because apparently David Spade is hypoglycemic, so he always had snacks, and Chris stepped on his sandwich and David Spade got really mad.
The two of them needed therapy. When I hear some of these stories, I'm like, okay, Christopher Farley was very insecure. And I think that's what you see in his comedy. It was like, I'll make fun of the fact that I'm fat
Mhm.
so that nobody else is, you're
Yes.
combating that, because the amount of fat jokes and like disparagingly making fun of him for his weight or just bringing it up was just, it was so much. It was hard to watch.
Most of it was him himself. It wasn't other people making fun of him. It was him.
Richard did it a lot.
He did.
Everybody.
Yes.
Everybody did. It wasn't just him. It was uncomfortable for me watching it now.
So that leads us into, so Richard's watching the girl skinny dip, decides to give himself a treat, and Tommy walks back in, and then we get the whole like, I wonder if she's dating one of the Yankees, and all of the innuendos for masturbation.
Maybe because I saw this when I was like probably way too young, but I didn't understand like any of those innuendos at the time. But now, like on this rewatch, and like I've rewatched this film multiple times, like I understand those, and even I didn't even know like Richard like unzips like in the scene. I had no idea. It was just like, and I don't know, very very bizarre. It's just that's such a bizarre scene, especially watching it now. So
yeah.
And the other infamous scene is the housekeeping, right, Jackie?
Yeah. So Tommy's still sleeping. Richard goes out to check on some of the accounts. He gets good news that like these people are placing orders and that they're slowly working their way to their goal. He gets a little donkeys for them for breakfast, and he decides to knock on the door. And apparently this was a gag that David Spade did all the time with Chris Farley, and he always fell for it, where he just pretends to be housekeeping, and he even knocks with like the key instead of like a knock like housekeeping does. And so he's just like, housekeeping, you want me fluff pillow? And Tommy's just not having any of it. I want sleepy, like come back later. And that's how you probably
Well, in this scene with his underwear, they did a few variations of the different types of underwear that he could wear, and everyone decided that the little skimpy ones were the best. But there were some takes where Chris Farley was moving around that his pecker was coming out. So they knew that Paramount wasn't gonna want to see that, so they burned the the footage of those scenes.
Richard, hold me.
Oh man.
Also,
and
I think hearing that, I just imagine like people in a boardroom discussing like, what should Chris Farley wear in the scene? Like, skimpies, boxers, briefs. It's just funny.
And another thing we get in one of the hotel rooms is a fat guy in a little coat, and he's swinging his arms wearing Richard's jacket, and then he like goes to Hulk out and ends up ripping it, which is also something. This joke came from something that Chris would do often at SNL. He would pick up David Spade's jacket and pretend to put it on and sing the song.
And while go ahead.
Well, you might were going to say the same thing, but the interesting thing that I found is that fat guy in a little coat was actually written in the script, and like the whole thing like about Chris Farley putting on like David Spade coat like on SNL, like someone I forget who was watching the dailies for Tommy Boy, they heard Chris Farley singing fat guy in a little coat, like in different variations. And the director, Peter Siegel, or I
Yeah,
think
that's fine.
Peter Siegel, basically said, like, no, what, we need to do this take. You need to be singing during it because like he was busting up laughing during it. So it's funny that it wasn't even written in the script as him singing. It was just because Chris Farley was ad-libbing like off camera during the
Love
dailies.
it.
So yeah.
And while all this is happening, Paul is back home trying to figure out how to ruin this. Now, him and his wife, there's like some sort of celebration that they're having, like a carnival, and him and his wife go sneak off to like go kiss and whatnot. And it's, what's that girl's name? The
Michelle.
girl, Michelle, kind of spots them but doesn't see them. She just sees him put his arm around her. So once Tommy starts selling all this, they're trying to figure out, like, okay, how do we stop this? Like, the whole plan was to sell. Can't sell if he's going to, save the company. So they decide that they've got to ruin the like shipping orders. So he goes down to where the shipping area is, and he's got a gun, and he's trying I don't even know what he accomplishes with this. He's trying to shoot out the fucking tires. That doesn't work. So he decides to go fuck with Michelle's computer and the orders, which I'm surprised she doesn't look over one good time, but she catches him in her office. She thinks it's kind of weird, but it's not a big deal. This is also just like a random reason to take his shirt off because he's sitting by that machine that takes the orders up.
The pneumatic tube.
Yeah, it's the one from the bank, and he sucks his shirt off. I wasn't mad at it, but
he has a lot of like physical comedy in this. So like during the fair scene, he pees on an electrical box and gets shocked and it's like launched.
This is what I think of Callahan.
He gets knocked the fuck out. So after all this stuff, and we see that he's sabotaging. The sabotaging works because all the people that Tommy has gotten to sign on, they didn't get their orders in time. They got the wrong numbers, and then everybody starts canceling, and pretty much everyone's like, we're done for. Like, we have to go to Chicago and sell to Zelensky. Zelensky is played by
Dan Aykroyd.
And he owns another car parts company.
Yeah, and they have storefronts. I imagine like an O'Reilly's.
Right. And so he essentially has put in a bid to buy it. So now they have no choice but to sell. Tommy doesn't want to give up because now his stock is kind of worth nothing and he has no stock because he put it against the bank loan, and now he's kind of defaulting on it. But he wants to throw one last Hail Mary to try to go to Chicago, and he thinks Zelensky is a really nice guy and somehow will, because he's all pro-American, if their warehouse, their factory shuts down, that will shut down the whole city that they live in. So he's trying to save it.
Sorry, he thinks he's a nice guy because when they're in one of the motels, he sees the Zelensky auto parts ad, and he's like, oh, he seems like a nice guy. And then Richard's like, this is the guy that wants to shut down the company and put you on the street, and all you have to say is like, he seems like a nice guy.
Yeah, but he has a gut instinct about people. So they try to head to Chicago. There's no more tickets. First and foremost, that air lady,
dumb.
She real dumb. But they somehow get outfits of pilots so that they can just get on the plane and have seats.
Flight attendants.
Sorry. And then they have to be flight attendants. Richard is the worst. He's literally announcing shit and scaring the shit out of people. Like, you're supposed to be trying to be incognito. This is not how to do it.
Tommy almost chokes himself with the inflatable life vest.
And he grabs a pen from this old lady and stabs it. He also, for some reason, can't change his fucking clothes in the bathroom. So he tears the bathroom door off.
I feel like this is not Tommy's fault. A lot of the shit is... But the hook falls out of the door. Like, that's not his fault. And then he bends down to get his suitcase and he hits his head. Like, that's not Tommy's fault.
And also, have any of us tried changing in an airplane bathroom?
I rather die than go in there.
Okay.
So that's definitely not
There are
happening.
not enough Clorox wipes in the world for
I
Danielle to
could, it
step
would take,
to.
I would piss myself. If I have a long flight and I'm afraid, I'll wear a diaper. I don't care. I am not going in that bathroom. But so they eventually get out of the airplane and they head over to the Zelensky Tower place. I don't know, wherever his headquarters
Die
is.
Hard, Nagasaki Tower. Is that
Yeah.
Yeah.
They head over
Wait, is it?
there.
Yes.
Is it? Oh my God. That's hilarious. I love that.
And he walks in, and people automatically think he's trying to rob the bank. It's a misunderstanding, but somehow him and Richard get on the elevator, and Zelensky is in there, and he's like, "I just need to talk to you for a few minutes." And I think they're shut out pretty much, and you could see Paul and his wife are there. So now he's like, "Why is my family here?" Bitch, they're trying to sell your company. They
Yeah.
are not your family.
But at the same time, Michelle goes to Chicago because
Yes.
she had her brother run police reports.
Because she spotted Paul. What is the lady's name? I keep calling.
Beverly.
She spots Paul and Beverly at the damn airport making out. So
Yeah.
she knows them fuckers ain't
tongue.
right.
Yeah.
With
With
tongue.
tongue.
Because she has resigned because she's like, my system was fucked up and I messed up and now this whole company's
The-
going to close because of me. And so she's going back home to some no-name town.
Right. And
And
the
she's
way
also mad at Tommy too, just because Tommy was kind of like blaming her, like,
No,
oh,
I
why?
don't think, was she
But
mad at him? Because
I, I
he just
I think he
asked
was
her
just
some questions.
frustrated. I think he was
Yeah.
just frustrated, and she kind of like took it the wrong way. So
But the way she ran out of that office was like Phoebe when she's running. It was
holding her like
her box. It was
clutching.
very, very dramatic and very weird.
Yeah.
Anywho, she ends up flying into Chicago, heads over to Zelensky, his office, and as the guys are getting kicked out, she tells them everything that's going on. So they come up with a plan to break back in because now they're banned. It's always scary when Tommy's like, "I've got a plan," and they're getting some flares, some road flares, and pretending that he's going to blow up the building, which great plan. They are able to get in.
There happens to be a news reporter there. So they're like,
Right.
hey, news reporter,
Because
I
the
look
news
like I
reporter,
have a bomb strapped to me. Follow me up to
Right.
Zelensky's office.
Which any journalist would do, of course. So they get up there and he's like, "Look, you seem like you're for Americans. Buy what is it? How many
Half a million.
half a million.
half a million brake pads from us?" And Zelensky doesn't care. He's like, "Doesn't matter. You're about to sell me this company," because Tommy doesn't tell them, that bitch don't own any of those shares because she's not really married to my dad because she's married to Paul. And he buys the 100 million, half a million, and saves the company. So Tommy saves the company and he's able to kick Beverly to the curb. What I don't understand is that Beverly does not get arrested, but Paul does.
Yeah. Well, I think Paul has warrants out because he has a bunch of different fraud charges.
But she should get arrested for trying to marry somebody while she's married. That's illegal.
Well, she has the hots for Zelensky, so I think
Yeah.
that's yeah.
Yeah, but that doesn't matter. Like Popo
Yeah.
should have arrested her. That is fraud in itself, or polygamy. It's against the law.
Well,
So,
well, her new boyfriend has the money, so
well,
maybe she
yeah, he
yeah.
doesn't care. He's like, "Let me date you." Fine.
Yeah. Your hands move so quickly. So funny.
And then after
And,
this,
well,
they get the company back. What were you gonna say, Marley?
one thing I'd like to add about the whole Beverly and Paul relationship, it's
Mhm.
very creepy that I found on this rewatch. They seem to get off on the whole incest
Yeah,
vibes, and it felt
it's
very weird. Like during the whole carnival scene or whatever, like Paul like was like mocking like the little kid like, "Oh, mommy, I want a popsicle." and and
Like,
she's
don't
like,
call me that.
yeah,
Gross.
like it's like if you act like a child, I'll treat you like one. And he was like, "Bad mommy." And I'm like,
Real gross. So
yeah.
now
Tommy
Tommy comes
has a
home.
speech, yeah, in front of everyone because he has saved the company. Everyone's very excited. He's happy that he has saved the livelihoods of the town, Sandusky, Ohio. And then he's out. He has a little sailboat that he takes out on the lake, but then there's no wind, so he can't get back. And so he's sitting out there and he's talking, and that's where he talks to his dad. And so he's
Yeah.
just like, I hope you're proud of me. And by the way, can you give me a little wind so I'm not stuck out here? And so the wind picks up and he's able to sail back to shore. And that is Tommy Boy.
Wonderful.
He sails back to shore, but he also gets hit in the head
Yes,
by the
the
by the
boom.
mast.
Yeah.
Yeah. The
All right, let's
the
see what some more fun facts.
Oh, and I stand corrected. It is Nakatomi Plaza.
Oh,
I just didn't want
from
to get the name wrong and have the diehard bros
uh,
after us.
okay. So the original working title for this was Billy the Third, a Midwestern. However, Billy Madison was being developed around the same time, so they were saying maybe we should change the name. So a month before this, Lorne Michaels insisted they change the name to avoid confusion. Other names considered included Fat Chance, Rocky Road, and XL before settling on Tommy Boy.
Tommy Boy just feels right.
yeah.
Sure.
Callahan Auto is actually Gooderham and Worts in Toronto's distillery district.
Oh. And the house used in the beginning of the movie and the wedding scene is the McLaughlin home, which was owned by Colonel Sam McLaughlin, founder of GM Canada. All the car stuff, bringing it back.
In the film 50 First Dates, there is a Callahan Institute, which is funded out of Sandusky, Ohio by T.B. Callahan. This is obviously a reference to this film. Adam Sandler and Chris Farley were also very close. So I love that he paid homage to Chris in his later works.
Chris Farley was completely sober during filming. However, because of this, he developed another addiction, a coffee addiction. Farley would have up to 27 cups of cappuccino every day and sometimes 3 at a time before every scene.
That's nuts.
Yeah. And that explains why he was so hyperactive too.
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah.
I feel
On
like
the
his
list
heart
showing
was
the
gonna explode.
On the list showing the exam grades of the students at the beginning of the movie, if you look at the bottom, you'll see that one of the names is Helen Keller, who scored an F. Also, look at the right of Helen, you'll see Michael Jackson. He got a D plus. As if Michael Jackson would. I don't think so.
Yeah. Tommy graduates from Marquette University, which was Chris Farley's real life alma mater. And if you'll notice in one of the college scenes, he's wearing a Marquette rugby jacket. And so that is his personal jacket.
I love that I love that David Spade refused to let the set stylist work on his hair. And that's why his hair looks so tousled in the movie. Crew members would joke that his hair looked like a toupee, and that is what led to the gag where Richard's hair flies back, which was a late addition to the film.
I feel like in Wayne's World, Rob Lowe ends up being bald, no?
I think so. I can't remember. It's been a while.
I feel like this joke was just biting off of an earlier
Wayne's.
work.
I gasped when that happened. It's like the first time watching the movie because it happens out of nowhere and like the line like when Tommy says like it looks real. He was like not a word. Just like, and even like when Michelle shows up, he's like Tommy's excited to see Michelle like when Michelle's there to tell Tommy the news about Bev and Paul. It's like Richard holds Tommy's arm and says, "Don't tell her about my hair."
It's like no one's even thinking about that. Get
No.
over it.
Yeah.
Right after Tommy Boy, Chris Farley was offered movies left and right, and director Peter Siegel read some of the scripts and thought they were terrible. Chris ushered Peter to come on one of the movies and direct one, but Peter refused because the scripts were so bad. This made Chris very mad, as he thought Peter didn't like him anymore, which led Peter to write a 7-page apology letter saying how he was wrong and that he adored him. Peter also said in the letter that he's talented enough to be nominated for an Oscar and he just needs to choose his projects more wisely. Chris then forgave him. Just that story alone, and then some of the other stories about David Spade tells me that Chris Farley was very insecure.
Yes. Well, and unfortunately, so this movie came out in 95. Chris Farley passed away in December of 1997. So unfortunately, Black Sheep was the last movie we got with him in it. And so his trajectory was nothing but up. And just unfortunately, he passed away before that fame could come to fruition.
And so young. He was
Yeah.
33.
Yeah.
Like, that's insane. So
He would have definitely been in Grown Ups 1 and 2 for sure.
100%.
and every Adam Sandler movie after.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Kevin James.
Yeah. Poor Kevin James's career would have not.
Flatline. Chuck and Larry, it would have been Chris Farley.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, Marley, before we get into ratings, why don't you tell everybody where they can find you on
You
social?
can follow me pretty much on everywhere in social media with the username at Marley Loves Film. Most active places right now are Blue Sky, Instagram, and TikTok. You might see a video here and there from me
And
talking
your
about.
podcast.
And people can listen to my podcast, the Real Lovers Podcast, everywhere where you listen to podcasts.
And what is your webpage?
Oh yeah, if people are tired of social media, you can head over to our digital crib, thereallovers.com, where I'm writing about movies weekly on thereallovers.com, and you can also listen to the podcast there as well. So yeah.
And you can check us out at No More Late Fees on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, Threads, and Blue Sky. And Marley, we'll start with you. What is your today's rating of Tommy Boy?
My today's rating is it's pretty predictable, but it is, I would buy it again. So, I love this movie so much. It's so quotable, and I can pop it on anytime. And it's because it's like 90 minutes. It's a pretty breezy watch, but I can put it on anytime and I'll just be laughing. And I'm just glad that I can add it to my collection. So yeah.
And Jackie?
It would be a would buy for me. I quoted my way through this movie. It gave me all of the warm fuzzies. I loved it.
And it's still a 2-day rating for me. I didn't hate it. I probably won't watch it again unless I'm at Jackie's and we're cleaning and she has it on. I don't know why it has to be we're cleaning, but that sounds about right for me.
Well, because that's what you do when you get to my house. I don't. For the listeners, I do not make her clean. She voluntarily cleans because my cleaning is not Christine level cleaning.
I think that my 2 love languages are gifts and acts of service. So if I really love you, I will clean and cook and bake for you.
And she does all 3 of those for me.
Now that's love. Now, I do want to ask one more thing to you, Danielle. It's kind of like your reoccurring segment on this podcast. What's the shower rating for Tommy Boy? Like, or the smell-o-vision or whatever?
How clean are they?
Yeah, how clean are they?
I did okay. The feces rolling around situation was not fun, but they did wash it off on screen. I honestly don't they got into a lot of shenanigans, but I didn't feel like they were gross, if that makes sense. Like it wasn't a lot of gross humor. It was a lot of physical humor, but it wasn't like dick jokes and shit jokes for fun. I felt like it was a wholesome movie considering.
Yeah. I feel like David is like showering probably morning and night. Or I'm sorry, Richard is showering morning and night. Tommy's going a couple of days, but like he'll shower if Richard tells him to.
Do I think these men wash their legs and use a washcloth? No.
I think Richard does. I think he's so type A, like he has a process.
Maybe. He might have a
Tommy,
loofah.
no.
Tommy
Tommy
no.
is washing his hair and then the
Letting it
dripping
drip.
down. Yeah, and that is
Yes.
cleaning the rest of his body.
Tommy just gives like a feeling like he probably smells like French fries.
Yeah.
Or a pine tree air freshener from a taxi cab.
Yeah.
So,
Well,
which-
if you have opinions, hit us up at our quick drop 909-601-6653. Twat us at the Twitters, hum us at the threads, and you could be featured on a future episode.
And join us next week as we complete the Star Wars prequels with Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. What was that?
what was it?
Darth Vader. That's when
I
he
didn't
turns
hear
into Darth
nothing.
Vader.
I literally heard like
Oh, really?
I
It was too
thought you were
close.
coughing.
Let me try it again. Does that sound better?
Now I'm just creeped out, Jack.
Darth Vader ASMR.
And Marley, thank you for joining us. It is a pleasure as always. And I love that you love this movie as much as I do.
I love that you love this movie too.
Well,
And love having you back.
Thanks for having me. It's always a joy talking movies with my favorite blockbuster blockbuster coworkers at this point. So
Yeah.
it's always a pleasure. So
And as always, be kind and rewind. Sch-niiiikes.